You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Do you know how bad the takes had to be yesterday for us to be an hour into reviewing how bad the takes were, and no one's even mentioned Chris Cody saying he'd rather have Zach Wilson than Russell Wilson?
What a sad conversation this Zach Wilson conversation is. It's so sad. And everyone coming at me on Twitter, I'd rather have Minshew. I'd rather have Jameis. Like, it's just the names that are getting thrown at me.
Chris, it's an insane hill to die on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he's great. No. I'm saying show me a quarterback with more upside than Zach Wilson.
But you're saying he has upside because of how terrible he's been, so you just assume he can't get any worse.
No, it's because of where he was drafted.
Also, he's your backup.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
No. But you can't do that with the Dolphins. You can't say, but he's your backup, because that's what we did last year.
Guys,
not me. Last year, I was like, they should sign a better backup because they
shouldn't have let Mike White go.
If that's what we're doing
but
here,
he had to make the White Lotus.
Mike White over Zach Wilson.
We needed season 3 of White Lotus.
Oh, you took my.
That is the thing. Like, the names that are being thrown back at me are so sad.
Well, that's because that's the class that Zach Wilson is in.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
exactly. But my point is, he's in that class, and he's probably the youngest guy with the biggest arm. Like, you can't make the argument for any of these other people over having more upside than Zach Wilson. Gardner Minshew.
So no one's going to change their opinions.
But the argument was Russell Wilson or Zach Wilson, was it not?
Yeah,
and you said Zach.
And if you say the next 5 years, who can be better? I don't think.
But they're signing him to a 1-year deal.
It's a 1-year deal.
I love it. This year. Okay, well, do it this year.
Russell Wilson's going to be better this year.
Okay, and I don't think you can say that for sure.
For sure.
Like in Mike McDaniel's offense, I think Zach Wilson could be just as good as Russell Wilson in this offense.
No, because Russell Wilson would come to this offense, and then he'd be a higher version of that too.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I saw Russell Wilson last year, and he wasn't good.
In Mike McDaniel's offense?
No, in a worse offense.
Okay, that's my point. If you're
going to
say,
was actually
if you're
not
gonna
that
say
bad
he got
for
benched.
being in a worse offense.
If you're going to say
didn't.
that Mike McDaniel is going to sprinkle pixie dust, if you're saying he's going to sprinkle pixie dust, and
that
Zach Wilson,
so bad.
If you're saying I'm going to do it a third time.
That offense had no wide
I'm going to do it a fourth
receivers
time.
either.
If you're saying he's going to sprinkle pixie dust, and Zach Wilson's magically going to get better, potentially, then the same pixie dust would apply to Russell Wilson as well.
The Russell Wilson Steelers conversation is an interesting one that I feel like we've already had several times, but I don't think he is the only reason to blame for the Steelers imploding at the end of the season. And I do think that in a better world where there's not animosity perceived on my part between him and Arthur Smith, it makes sense for them to just re-sign him for a year because they're not going to get anything better. That being said, Zach Wilson wouldn't be better either.
I'm not saying Zach Wilson's good. I'm saying of all these names that I have in front of me, I get saying, if I'm Mike McDaniel, I get saying, I'm looking at all these people. I could do something with that. That's all I'm saying. It's not a terrible deal. Everyone's just like, oh, they shouldn't have signed Zach Wilson. They should have signed blank. All those names, sad. Every single one of them.
So is he.
Okay, but I would argue, he's in that group. He's equal to all those people, is all I'm saying.
All right, enough. Less sad than the other sadness.
David, would you rather be listening to this conversation or waiting on hold, and we just are late to a segment start?
Samson's furious right now. He has been seething. He has been a volcano of fury. Just take me through your rage right now as you've had to listen for the second time to a Zach Wilson conversation.
Well, that's coming after listening to an entire 37 minutes relitigating stuff from yesterday. So I was just trying to decide at what point we'd be willing to go to today's show. It's totally up to you. You're the leader of this intrepid team. So let me know.
What else did we get wrong yesterday? What else?
Oh, man. I mean, Chris is so obviously not the type of guy who goes to a Ren Fair normally. He's a chili cook-off guy. He told you it's obvious. Look at his face. That's a chili cook-off guy, not a Ren Fair guy. What are you guys doing?
I was thinking about this yesterday. Renfest is like theater kids.
Yeah.
People that love to dress up.
I should be at Ren Fair. Chris should be at the chili cook-off. This is obvious. And I can't believe that this show had the gumption to get a takeoff that was that bad. It was really, I was really disappointed. Shame, honestly.
Dan's head was on the table. He's totally checked out, and he heard gumption, and it was like Marty McFly at the Enchantment Under the Sea.
Dan, does your microphone actually work? Like, are we having technical
What else
issues?
did we get wrong yesterday?
What else did we get wrong? We covered a lot of.
Tried to convince people Aaron Rodgers was good.
Aaron Rodgers.
That was an interesting one.
I don't know what's that about.
was so annoying.
That was pretty crazy.
Trying to convince people Jameis Winston's bad.
Oh, that too. Jameis Winston would be
You
a
said
better
he'd be
name.
buttoned up.
Honestly, you guys
So sad.
attacking
work on
Billy on
Fox?
that was some of the best work yesterday.
What?
Jameis was.
Did you see him on Fox?
First of all, Jameis Winston, yes, he threw 30 interceptions. You know what he had after that 30 interception season? LASIK. And he's never thrown 30 again.
Thank you.
It'd be funny if we signed Jameis.
No, not we, the Steelers.
He couldn't see. Like, the whole point of the thing was he didn't know what he was throwing at. Like, was that a red jersey?
Oh, and now he's amazing. He didn't throw any interceptions when he was playing for the Browns this
Not
year.
30.
Well, not 30.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
He also didn't start the
Someone
season.
stole that take from me
he also
later in
didn't
the
finish
day.
the
The
season.
LASIK take?
The could you imagine Jameis Winston on the Steelers? Someone stole that from me. A major
Who?
player.
Who stole it?
DraftKings took it and they put it on their account.
Oh,
Well,
God.
could you imagine Jameis Winston? Yeah.
Samson, what are you shaking your head about? What's the matter? You just want to get to today's show? You want to get to things today, and I can't get control of the show? Is that the problem?
I'm just watching time move inextricably on past what I expected it to be. I'm very interested in Jameis Winston and LASIK. That's tremendous. That's tremendous Charlie Sheen type major league insight. That he couldn't see, and now all of a sudden he can see. Therefore, the Jets have made a good signing.
Look at all the pictures of him pre-LASIK. He's always squinting. And then all of a sudden, not squinting.
Do you know how many times, we would say to players when they were in a slump and we'd do the Charlie Sheen thing, we'd say, hey, listen, can we by chance check your eyesight? So we would do it during preseason physicals. We'd have them all do the eye chart and do all the stuff. But anytime we had scouted someone or signed someone that we thought would be better, and when they weren't performing, it didn't occur to us that we were bad at evaluating. It occurred to us that maybe they needed glasses. It's so asinine to try to cover up your lack of ability to choose good players with some sort of physical issue regarding eyesight.
No stone unturned.
Just so that you guys know, I'm not in a position to make this particular correction, given that yesterday I confused Chan-Ho Park and Hideo Nomo, but I think that David Samson just confused Winston and Justin Fields, and you need to pay a fine for that because Jameis is not with the New York Jets, and that's not a mistake that you can make.
I will pay the Venmo fine. I did on this morning's Nothing Personal. I did a bit of a quarterback was going to be in the show, Daniel Jones going to the Vikings, and I couldn't get to the topic because we only had 50 minutes to do the whole show, so I couldn't get to it, and so I now have an entire day to worry about how I'm going to deal with all of the quarterback carousel tomorrow.
David, yesterday we got the sad news that Junior Bridgman passed away. Junior Bridgman, your Wisconsin roots, I'm sure you're familiar with Junior Bridgman. Dan was the guy that was in the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade, but he was made more famous by everything he did after his playing career, which was he invested in franchises, and he became one of the great business success stories that the NBA and the NBPA would bring around the players. Say, look, this is what you do with your money. Like, so that
remembered as an entrepreneur even more than a basketball player.
He was a billionaire, and the most he ever made in any NBA season, I believe, was like $365,000. And so, David, I was wondering, who is the Junior Bridgman of baseball that you would introduce players who would talk about, like, this is what you do with your money off the field?
So not Pudge, but I was going to do, and I did something for on this morning's show when I did a obituary for Junior Bridgman. I tried to come up with a top 5 list on the fly of business leaders, former basketball players, or former athletes. And I have Junior Bridgman there, and I put Magic Johnson in the top 5. I put Shaquille O'Neal in the top 5.
That's right.
I put Jamal Mashburn in the top 5.
Yes.
And I put Junior Bridgman in the top 5. And
twice.
then I struggled. I need a 5th NBA player who has had a level of post-career success that is off the charts financially. Who do you got for me?
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan is
That's crazy.
Seems kind of obvious.
So the reason why I didn't have Michael Jordan, and now that I think about it, I guess he has to be, is I believe that a lot of the wealth came from, according to the movie Air, came from a contract that he signed as a player that gave him continuing in perpetuity rights from the Jordan brand of Nike. Not that he should be poo-pooed for such a business deal, but that was not necessarily post-career.
Caron Butler has a lot of stuff, a lot of Burger King franchises, I believe, because when he was a kid, he worked at Burger King, and that was one of the things that kind of saved him when he was recovering kind of from some poor life choices earlier. So Caron's up there. I don't know if he's not at the caliber of those other 5 guys that we just named.
Did he get it from Junior Bridgman? Because the majority of his wealth was from buying franchises of Wendy's
yep.
and Chili's.
Yep.
And of course, there's now 10% of the Bucks that he bought last year, and people didn't realize that. He is a major owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
And also another name is Andre Iguodala, who would be like the 21st century of this in investing in tech. And the biggest example of that was he invested in Zoom before the pandemic. And so when the pandemic took off and everyone started using Zoom, Andre Iguodala was like ching ching, right, basically.
That's a winner. For me, Dan, there's been so many players. We talk to them about financial prudence, and we try to explain how to save money. And not many players are good at it, and they don't really understand it. And agents don't help, because we try to get financial advisors to advise the players, but agents really get in the way of that because they want total control of the players. And so they'll start investment arms, a lot of these agencies, where they'll try to talk about and get another percentage above just the fee for doing the contract for being an investment advisor for the player. And we always advise our players to go in a different direction than that. You do need diversity when it comes to your agents and your money managers. But you're right, Dan. I'd say it's the biggest problem that faces players in their post-career is that no matter how much money they make in their career, they don't realize they'll never make more again. And of course, we just did a top 5 of those who do. But those are the exceptions, not the rule.
Well, I wanted to talk about Shaq for a second, and I wanted to talk more broadly with you and Amin, whether someone like Elon Musk, whether it's even possible to be running that many companies well, given what it actually takes to run a company. So Shaquille O'Neal obviously has a lot of different interests, and Amin is in the tank for Shaq. But Shaq cannot make this particular mistake when being an analyst who is keeping up with the times. Listen to Shaquille O'Neal talking about the Pistons and just having no idea what he's talking about.
It's a great player. I like the way he's playing. I like what Chauncey is doing. Those guys play hard. My favorite player on that team is Isaiah Stewart. Big body, hard guy. Like to knock people out, push people out.
No, I can't let this go. Like who? Who's doing it? You said Chauncey?
Chauncey's the coach, right?
Okay.
Portland. No.
Chauncey, he coaches Portland. Can't let this go.
JB Bickerstaff. Yeah, Bickerstaff. That's what I mean. Hey, you know, first of all, I don't watch Detroit. How about that, boo-boo? I don't watch them. So, I messed up. I made a mistake.
For the trail,
what you freaking do? I mean.
And I asked the question sincerely. How much attention can he be paying attention to everything?
Chauncey Billups, Hideo Nomo, Jameis Winston. That's all the same, right? It's a guy, roughly.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that sort of mistake. I understand he's an analyst on Inside the NBA making a ton of money to do it, but those types of things happen, so I don't criticize Shaq for that. The correction should have been made. It was made, and I just wouldn't have doubled down by saying I don't watch Detroit. That's not what I want my top analysts to say. I want them to like the whole league. But, Dan, I'm not going to criticize Shaq for that one.
I can't believe Shaq would be that uninformed. Check out us Sunday night. College basketball watch party.
Jesus Christ, you were so confident grabbing that, and then you just stuttered and stumbled your way through it.
It's just so wild. I mean, the Pistons are one of the best stories in basketball this year, and JB Bickerstaff going from Cleveland to Detroit and doing this with Detroit is like one of maybe the 5 coolest stories in the league. I know Detroit's not like the sexy team to watch, especially the last several years, but that's a pretty basic one that I would think Shaq should know, right? I'm not asking for Inside the NBA to be in-depth analysis. It's entertainment. But
to be fair, that was, first of all, that was why they had the topic, because they're talking about the Pistons, and Shaq's like, I'm not going to watch the Pistons. And Candace and Vince are telling him, no, they're actually really good. You got to watch them. And he's like, I watched them.
And that push and pull is great.
Right. And so he does that. And then my thing was this. I thought he just had a brain fart because he's talking about Detroit and Chauncey Billups. I thought he knew like Chauncey Billups, Detroit or whatever. But then when he doubled down on that second line, isn't he the coach of Detroit? Like, damn.
It's not great.
The other thing that's interesting about Detroit, and Monty Williams changed the entire salary structure for coaches there, got the highest paid job in the history of basketball, and was gone in a year. And everything got fixed as soon as he left. Like, that's nuts. That part of the story is a total insanity because coaching salaries doubled based on what Monty Williams got for 1 year in Detroit.
You know what's funny is when I was thinking about this the other day and J.B. Bickerstaff and the year he's having, even though Kenny Atkinson is doing better with the players he had last year, and it made me wonder, I wonder what Mark Jackson would have been like if he had gotten another job somewhere, how he would have been thought of. Because J.B. Bickerstaff was like, oh, you bummed this team isn't winning, and now it's like, J.B. Bickerstaff, a pretty good coach, huh?
Samson, though, when it comes to Elon Musk, okay, Tesla is tanking. It's lost like 70% of its value in Germany and Australia. Trump is on the lawn doing a Tesla commercial. Can Elon Musk possibly be running and governing? This while taking, $17 billion in government subsidies for the last 10 years, and his SpaceX stuff is exploding over Turks and Caicos, and his businesses are kind of hurting right now. Is it possible to be in a position that he's in and govern any of those businesses correctly?
Well, you can look at Warren Buffett as someone who runs one major company, Berkshire Hathaway, but then underneath him, what he does is he buys companies that maintain their operators. And so he chooses his investments that way. He doesn't pretend to run all of the companies that he owns. What I assume Elon Musk has is that he has operators for his businesses that are doing the day-to-day. He is involved, obviously, in the major strategic decisions. He will be involved, but not every day, in the operation of Tesla or any of his other investments. I don't know how he'd have the time to do it. So the answer is there's only 24 hours in a day, and it is very difficult to actually be hands-on with all the different things that he is claiming to be hands-on. So my guess is he's far more of a chairman than he is an actual CEO of these companies.
Man, we don't give Stugotz enough flowers, man, for getting that one right years ahead of everybody.
He was. There has been no take that he's gotten more right than that one 10 years early. I miss that character. I don't know, Billy, where it is that Elon Musk is, but I would love at any point to see him again.
I also miss Billy doing the Elon Musk impressions. Remember that?
Those masks disappeared. I don't know where they ended up.
They ended up with the fine bucket.
I think if you did an Elon Musk impression now, probably wouldn't be able to air it over television.
I'm Elon Musk.
Yes, you would. We do a lot worse than that. I think that the issue that we're seeing now is just the timing and the way things are happening. The announcement yesterday that everyone in the White House is getting Teslas, it just is such a bad look with all of the slashing they're doing in aid to foreign countries and all of the trade wars, and the stock market is plunging, and all of the things that they're in theory trying to fix. There was really no reason for that sort of PR moment that they took yesterday. I thought the timing was strange for it. It wasn't going to really have such an impact on the stock. It wasn't going to impact Elon's wealth. It was some sort of favor for him, but the timing just didn't seem necessary.
Have you guys ever seen, like, on my TikTok algorithm is weird. So I see, like, car reviews, and they've got the EVs from China. And when I watch these reviews and watch what these cars
there are better cars being made all over the place.
Buddy, keep them tariffs up there because, like, the for $47,000, the type of car you get, it's damn near a spaceship.
No, and they don't explode, and they change the way that they look over 13 years. That's super rare that the body of a car wouldn't change.
Then they got a car that's full electric that also has a gas tank that when you run out of charge, you can pour gas into it, and then it runs on gas, and then the gas engine charges the electric battery all over again, 700 miles.
It's called a hybrid.
No, but this ain't, when you say hybrid, people think of like a Prius. This thing was like an SUV with an incredible, well, like a full electric engine that also can do gasoline, as opposed to a hybrid like a Prius, where the gas is required to keep charging the engine. You can't charge it separately. It's
called a plug-in hybrid.
All right, whatever.
Okay, I don't know why it is you guys are doing this exactly in terms of disagreeing. I think Amin is generally right when he says that China has surpassed this automobile and they have a finer model, electrical model, than Elon Musk does.
David, by way of example, most plug-in hybrids here that are available in the United States get about 100 miles, 150 miles to the charge. This thing gets 700. Like that's a massive difference in terms of performance and efficiency that they've mastered over there, that literally these cars are not available to us here because the tariff structure is such that it is preventing them from entering the market.
I have to change my whole movie review. I was going to review Ed Begley's movie, Who Killed the Electric Car, but you've totally ruined it, so now I can't review that. I'll have to do something else, Dan.
I'd like to do a review of Stugotz in 2018, talking about Elon Musk.
What a quack, Elon Musk. He's lost over $2 billion in the last month. He's going to have to start selling bonds because he needs to raise money. Otherwise, Tesla's going to go under. It's a bad, terrible business model. When all you do is talk about the products you're going to create and then you don't produce them. Where's the revenue? What are you selling? Dreams?
That sounds familiar.
Ideas? What are you saying? You're not selling anything tangible. You're just selling me a bunch of noise. Ha! How about that, Musk?
What?
Are you going to Mars with that? Stick that in your rocket and smoke it.
Boy, that's a good one.
We play that Chief sound all the time. We should be playing this a lot more often.
This is more right than that Chief sound is wrong, potentially.
This was around the time of that whole cave rescue debacle, I assume. I think that was when a lot of people were like, hang on a second.
I'm sorry, are you saying that take is actually a correct take? I want to make sure I'm getting the show properly. What about
You're not.
what
I can
he
assure
said
you
is
you're not. Let's just start from there.
Because I'm fine with that. But I would point out that far from defending Musk, which I shan't do given his role as an unelected official in the government and what he's doing, I will say that what he's done on the business side for Tesla, notwithstanding the recent slide where there's been a slide all over the place, he has created wealth in a way that prior to Trump becoming president, he was creating wealth for himself with reckless indifference toward other people, obviously, but it's hard to call him not a successful businessman.
What a quack.
You using shan't there, you regret it, no?
I love the word shan't.
All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the person who uses the word shan't an asshole?
No,
I'm just asking. What do you mean no? Leave it to the people. They'll decide.
Chris and I are in a shan't.
But why would you use the word asshole in the poll? That is a leading poll that you're getting people to say that that's what I am for using it. That's just not fair, Dan. You're stacking the deck.
What's the word you'd like me to use? Because shan't is the thing that when you go past tense shan't, it just feels like a jerk move.
I think the poll question is, does the person who uses shan't by definition use Grey Poupon?
No,
that's a terrible poll question.
Stick with the original.
He comes in here, tells us how to do our show, and he comes in, doesn't know who the Jets quarterback is.
This is why we make you wait to talk, David.
Come in and tells us that Elon Musk, he shan't, be on his side on any other thing other than he makes tons of money.
Have we ever had a poll question come back 101%?
Yes. Thank you, David. Thank you. Yes, the world's richest man makes a lot of money. He's good at that. Yes, that's correct. And also $17 billion in government subsidies in the last 10 years. He's good at that, too. Shan't.
I think I just shan't myself.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Guys, taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back, guaranteed, all while you go about your busy day. No stress, no worry, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live, full service, real-time updates only on iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
If you're a pet parent like me, you know about Chewy. When they say they have everything you need to keep your pet healthy and happy, they're not messing around. Oh, look at this good boy and good girl over here taking an early morning siesta after their breakfast with the food we got from Chewy. Hassle-free, with AutoShip. To keep Dopey happy, Chewy offers over 100,000 products from brands my pets love, at prices I love too. Foods, treats, toys, beds, you name it, they've got it. To keep Izzy healthy, Chewy's got me covered with pet prescriptions, insurance, telehealth, vet visits, and even vet clinics rolling out nationwide. My favorite feature? AutoShip. I never run out of essentials like food or litter, and I can update or cancel anytime, so no guilt trips from Dopey or Izzy. And everything ships right to your door in just 1 to 2 days. Oh, and Chewy isn't just for dogs and cats. They've got birds, fish, reptiles, and more covered too. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com/Dan. That's chewy.com/Dan to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. Chewy.com/DAN. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Mattel, Heinz, or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the business behind the business, making and selling, and for shoppers, buying. Simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. No one does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Heinz uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Batard, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Batard to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Batard.
Dan Le Batard.
Go pee-pee.
Stugotz.
Go pee-pee.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I want to ask you guys, yesterday I stumbled around. This was bizarre. Of all the things that we got wrong yesterday, this is high on the list. I don't know if the 7 words you can't say on television is still a thing or not. But yesterday I stumbled around on the Spanish word for boobs because I didn't think I could say one of those words, and I don't know what standard I was using. So let's put up the baseball cap here for the Texas Rangers, and we were talking about this right here. And is the 7 words you can't use on television, is that still a thing, David? Network television.
So, yeah, the FCC still has, obviously, that's why there is delays when you watch live shows, because you cannot use those 7 words. Now, it's funny, that's the George Carlin take of it. But I actually, when thinking of the 7 words, I don't think that this is one of them. And this is where you're going to make fun of me. And I did this morning, too, and I did it wrong. Is it Tetas?
No, it is not.
Put that in the club, guys.
Please. You could not have said that in a way that was covered in more starch. Tetas.
That's how I said it this morning. I was trying to figure out what is the proper way to say it, and I couldn't.
To be fair, Katie Nolan pronounced it Titas.
I heard that too.
Titas on was Casuals?
Yep.
Casuals is the name of her podcast. I told her she's never sound water. She sounded like ketchup on tacos. Titas.
Well, can you say the word, please?
Tetas.
That's what you're gonna. Tetas.
Tetas. Well, you're not.
Tetas.
Tetas.
Tetas. Tetas. Tatas.
It sounds
okay.
It sounds like you're saying tater tots.
Getting creepier. Start with it like you're starting the first part of Tesla.
Tetas.
There you go. Good
Tetas.
coaching. Billy,
Boy,
Billy, a Spanish instructor, is
Thank you,
something
Billy.
that I would like to do with you.
David's just been saying tits, 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 tits over and over for 5 minutes.
Dan, also to answer your question, the FCC only applies to over the air, so technically cable can say whatever. That's why on The Shield or some of these other shows they drop F-bombs, which, by the way, they used to not do because the networks, the cable networks, were worried the FCC would then say, hey, we need to extend it over to where cable is as well.
But tetas is one of those words in English,
I don't
correct?
believe so.
You don't think so?
I believe that the...
it's obscene and profane is the FCC standard, but the George Carlin bit, it is one of those words, and I think that they get transposed with one another.
Okay, I did not know that. David, how does this happen? How is all
It's
of this?
impossible.
What do you mean it's impossible?
It's impossible. So there are so many levels of approval that happen when New Era comes out with a cap. First, the clubhouse manager gets an email that has all of the new designs for the upcoming season for authentic on-field items. But that email goes to the team president, it goes to the head of marketing, it goes to the GM, and then we have to send back an approval that we approve that which baseball has designed. And before baseball sends it to you, they approve it from what New Era sends. So there are multiple levels. So it can't be, and I blame 80% of this on Texas and 20% on MLB and 20% on New Era. And the reason why I'm going 120 is that this mistake is so crazy to me that 100% is simply not enough. To not have the sensitivity or sensibility to proofread or to say out loud. Take a look at do you have a picture? And I didn't prep the video, guys. Sorry. Do you have a picture of the Angels hat by chance? It was also pulled.
Okay, well, we have a picture of an A's hat that was used creatively here. We do not have the ability to immediately get up for you an Angels hat, but we do have the ass hat right here, which is a great insult.
And also a hat that says ass.
It is an ass hat. It's almost unreal that these were not paid attention to by anybody, and everybody, including Texas, has bilingual employees. And so we would check, and of course in Miami, you're much more thinking about that, but we would check everything for am I missing something as a non-Spanish speaking team president. I had a consigliere who was completely bilingual and Cuban, and he would check everything for me to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Yes, but Samson, what about the Astros one that says assholes? They're finger popping each other's assholes. We weren't finger popping each other's assholes.
I think that's one of the words.
Is it? Assholes?
I prefer the anals one, but that's just me. On a Wednesday.
The club, please.
What a great show we're doing. How about the Boban hat? Someone give Boban that hat for his birthday.
Let me hear again. I'd just like to see in the history of South Florida whether boobs has ever been said quite this gringified.
Tatas?
With a question mark.
Tatas? I'm giving you all I got, Captain. Tatas?
It's just asinine.
Tatas?
I got David in the backyard with Taylor Swift with the ball like,
Tatas?
David, Garrett Cole, the Yankee ace, they're paying him an awful lot of money, or what used to be an awful lot of money in this sport. And
Still is.
Now he's going out with Tommy John surgery again. And the human arm is not made to do that. I really don't know or understand the science of how it is that baseball continues to have arms like that break down when paying that much money. Explain to me both the finances and the devastation caused by the Yankees losing that particular pitcher.
Well, it hurts. You're not supposed to sign pitchers to long-term deals because they're never going to work out. The examples maybe are Scherzer and Verlander as two deals that did work out, but the overwhelming majority do not. But owners don't seem to care about the analytics. They get told this by the commissioner's office. We are shown spreadsheets of all of the contracts that we all sign. And it used to be in the early 2000s, Bud Selig would put contracts on the board that were bad, but not call out the teams that did it, not assign it to a player or a team. As his career winded down and as Rob started, they forewent all of that, and they just would put it right up there. Look what the Marlins did, and then they'd go team by team with all the bad contracts. But the real mistake that's happening right now is Yankee fans seem to think that the Yankees have $27 million because of an insurance policy they had on Garrett Cole. But what they're neglecting to understand is while you do get the $27 million, that's the amount of payment from an insurance company after you fight with them. But Garrett Cole's entire salary still counts toward the luxury tax. And so if you take that $27 million and put it back into your team in the form of Sandy Alcantara, as an example, you are going to the next level of luxury tax penalties. So they are not going to reuse that money. They're going to keep that money and use it to pay down debt or use it to balance the books. But it's a real pickle the Yankees are in, but it's of their own making because of the contract they signed.
David, would you say that pitchers are the running backs of baseball in that way? Like they're important, but it's also you don't want to invest.
But running backs aren't paid that way anymore. Like they're not running backs. They've actually made the position cheaper.
But I mean, I wonder in football, could you get premium running back play with shorter deals?
I get what you're saying.
Right?
Like, I mean, that's actually an interesting question. Take a look at a team like the Rays. And what they do and what we tried to do is we want to bring pitchers in pre-arbitration, meaning they're making the league minimum. We want velo pitchers who can throw 96, 98, can touch 100, and we're going to throw them out there until their arm falls off and then cycle through and get the next one. And so that is what front offices have been asked to do for all of these years. And you've seen that starting pitching has become less important because they're not going as many innings. Yet at the tip top of the market, it stayed where it is. But if you look at the middle class of starting pitchers, they really are being eliminated. And if you look at the middle class of bullpen arms, they're being eliminated because the view is take guys and just cycle through them, and it doesn't really matter whether or not they get hurt. It only matters when you have them long term, which is why teams shouldn't sign the players to these type of deals. You got it, Amin, in the CBA. Basketball did it for the owners, I believe. They put it in that there's a maximum number of years that you can sign a player to.
Yep.
Billy, is he going to recommend, because the Marlins have Sandy cheap, is he going to recommend that the Marlins trade Sandy now because you don't want to start signing these guys long term?
David, do you recommend that the Marlins trade Sandy now because they're not going to sign him long term?
He already is signed long-term. He's in the middle of that long-term contract. Sandy will be on the next contract by the time the Marlins are ready to win again for their next window. He is guaranteed to get traded, but you get more for a starting pitcher at the deadline than you do at the beginning of the season. So while it will cost the Marlins about $8.5 million to throw Sandy every 5 days on a 100-loss team, it is still worth the $8.5 million because of the prospect capital they'll get back at the deadline from a team that is winning and ready to win this particular season.
Well, that's why I guess they put out there the whole thing that they're going to have him on innings limits, so he'll be available in October for a team, which they then went and denied that. Like earlier,
well, they had to.
Yeah,
Billy.
Sandy said he hadn't heard that, which honestly made last year's trade so weird when they got rid of Arise like a month into the season, where you didn't have the off-season desperation of some teams, and then you didn't have the added desperation of the playoff teams at the deadline, which I didn't really understand the timing of that one.
So position players are less valuable at the deadline and more valuable in the offseason. Pitching is more valuable at the deadline, especially bullpen pitching, than it is during the offseason. So Arias is a position player, and what you had was an over-aggressive general manager and A.J. Preller willing to do what Peter Bendix considered was an overpay, and you knew you weren't keeping Arias. There was no way to do it. So anytime you get an overpay, you're going to pull the trigger.
Do you have a movie that you're going to review for us, or do we knock it out?
No, I have one that I want to talk about, and I really hope that some of you saw it. It's called This is the Tom Green documentary.
I was interested in it, got 10 minutes into it, saw that he was the one doing it, and lost interest.
Did you lose interest in The Last Dance after 10 minutes?
Got him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if my microphone's working. But so, yes, Tom Green did do this documentary about himself, and it happens to be a fantastic documentary. And he's not really saying that he's anyone other than who he was. He's someone who had a moment or two of fame. He is someone that now continues to actually do good work, and it goes through some of his trials and tribulations. I was enthralled, and it did not matter to me that he did it, because in this day and age, Dan, people are doing their own content all the time. All the players and all people are involved with their own production companies, and they're really editing their own content. So I didn't find that to be as outrageous as you did. And I was totally entertained and interested. And I went back and I did a double feature after watching the documentary. And I watched Road Trip again, which is a movie that I assume Amin has seen, but nobody else in the room.
I was going to be an extra in that movie. They shot it at Georgia Tech. Yeah.
That would have been your third movie?
I know, man. Oh, look at the career. Got myself a little bit of a career going. But yeah, no, I couldn't make it. I had class.
What, you had class?
Yeah.
You're telling me you couldn't be an extra in Road Trip because you had class?
Yeah, I mean, I was just
and look where it got you.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you guys not prefer a documentary that is made by people other than the person who is the subject of the documentary, or are you?
I think, of course, unless it's like really good and they have like The Last Dance, they had the archival footage that made it worthwhile. But yeah, you're going to get a different version of the truth.
But that's like also like you were talking about watching the Baldwin show. Like that is just a show for people to kind of like Alec Baldwin again or make him seem relatable after the situation on Rust.
You really made a mistake there, Billy, by talking about that his New York City apartment wasn't big enough. He had everyone going great. And I watched the first episode. I did not watch the second episode yet, but I can't stop. It's sort of like a train wreck. I'm watching it and I can't stop. But when he complained about the size of his New York apartment, that lost the ability to be relatable.
Well, he also, like I was reading, so he bought that originally.
Wait, you have a house in East Hampton with like several different toilets depending on what time of day it is.
Or who's here?
I do not have a house in East Hampton, but thank you for mentioning that.
Well, what's your toilet situation, just so we clarify all of this?
Sitch. We like to call it a sitch.
I have enough toilets that should I have stomach issues, I have an opportunity to let every toilet recover.
Wow.
Okay, and spiritually, I was right. Sorry, Bridgehampton? Oh, I don't know where your house is, David. You've got a lot of toilets. That's my point.
How many toilets do you have? Stop being evasive, and does J. Cole write his own music? We need answers today, people.
I have enough toilets that I'm happy to count for you, but it's going to be 3, 4, 4.5, 5.
What's a half toilet? You have a urinal?
Wow.
A half bath is when there's a toilet but not a shower.
Oh, I was hoping for the
urinal. No one's heard that expression before?
Yeah, but I thought we were counting toilets.
Yeah.
But in order to count toilets, I'm counting bathrooms, and then I'm calculating whether they're halves or
He's
fulls.
got 10 bathrooms he could shit all day. That's what he's telling you.
I'm just telling you that I have some stomach issues, and I've got a level of anxiety that leads to stomach issues. I don't stress eat. I'm the opposite of that. And I just had the conversation with Coca today. I said, what do I do if during the live show I have to use the bathroom? Because I've had some emergencies happen during the course of Nothing Personal. And he said, the show goes on, wear a diaper if you have to.
That's such a fear of mine. I know it's like a ridiculous fear, but like I used to think about that all the time when we were on 790. Like if I was doing a show and I just have like some sort of stomach issue and we have like a 3-minute break, I'm in really bad trouble. You know what I mean? Like if I was hosting the show and I just had to have a bathroom emergency, I don't think I could do a live show for that very reason.
But also, David, we live in a time where everything's wireless, man. Just grab and take it to the bathroom. See? Grab this thing, the camera's on top of it, sit it down, bring the microphone, hold it right here. And then
I've got the greatest Metal Arc setup of all time. It's a
toilet that you're sitting on.
You can't move this stuff to the bathroom.
Billy, you're on a live show right now. Samson, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Tatas.
All right, I know I got to do this ad read, but hold on. Let me reapply. Did you hear that? Yep, that's my new favorite lip gloss from NYX Cosmetics. Now I'm ready to talk to you. I've been a huge fan of NYX Cosmetics for many years now. In fact, I use their Thick It, Stick It brow gel every single day. So you can imagine my excitement when we recently received a special delivery to the Batard studios from our friends over at NYX Cosmetics. And there it was. When I opened the box, glowing, I heard the angels sing, "Ah." It's their latest lip gloss fat oil lip drip. It's NYX Cosmetics' first lip oil of its kind. This creamy lip oil will have your lips dripping with fat perks. You get all the shine of a lip gloss and none of the stickiness while experiencing 12-hour hydration. I'm usually a matte lip gloss kind of gal. My normal go-to is NYX Cosmetics lip gloss, the Lingerie XXL. But after applying the status update shade, I have found my new go-to lip gloss. Fat Oil Lip Drip has high shine finish with comfortable wear and none of the sticky texture. A lip product that's hydrating, non-sticky, and only $9? Now that's a win. Try Fat Oil Lip Drip from NYX Professional Makeup. Available in 14 universally flattering shades. Find your perfect Fat Oil Lip Drip. Shop now at NYXCosmetics.com or a retailer near you.